Hey guys, it's Lindsay with Perfectly Pastry. I am one of the three co-founders of Perfectly Pastry. It was started by my mom, my sister, and I. It is an online bakery with local services in the St. Louis and Southeast Missouri area. We're all about sharing great recipes, sharing great tips, and helping out our fellow home bakers and bakery businesses, small bakery businesses. And so today I wanted to talk to you about precision baking. I want to talk a little bit about it, and then I'm going to show you guys an experiment. So what is precision baking? So precision baking is using weight as a form of measurement for your recipes. So you're not going to use cups, you're not going to use teaspoons, you're going to get away from all of that, and you're going to measure out your ingredients by ounces, by weight, so that you can have an accurate standard recipe to use every single time. And so we're going to talk about how that accuracy is important in your business, and let's talk about how you need to shift from using cups and spoons. If you're serious about making your business work and you want to grow, it's going to be really important that you shift from cups and teaspoons into precision baking for your business. So let's talk about it. Mic check. So there are three main reasons why you want to use precision baking in your business. And the first one comes down to standardized recipes, okay? Standardized recipes require you to have precision baking because you're going to have to replicate that same recipe for more than one customer. You don't want to bake it the first time for that customer and they're like, oh my gosh, those cookies were amazing, can you make it again? And then all of a sudden you make it again and it's flopping and you're like, I don't know why, it doesn't taste the same, it doesn't look the same, it's not the same. And so it's important to have a standardized recipe, but it's also important that as your business grows and you get new locations, you get multiple bakers, you're going to have to bake consistently from location to location, from baker to baker. If you have a storefront bakery and your one baker bakes 3 days, you're going to have another baker that's going to bake the other 4 days, and that product needs to look consistent. Your customer doesn't want to walk in on a Monday and get a muffin that's delicious and walk in on a Friday and get a muffin that's gummy or anything like that. So it's really important to have standardized recipes, and to have a standardized recipe, you have to have your weights. You have to be able to make it consistent every single time. So not only do you have to have these standardized recipes, but that brings us to number 2, consistency. So the standardized recipes are going to have the weight so that everybody can follow them. It can be made the same way every single time for consistency. It's so important to have consistency because, again, your customer doesn't want to come to you on a Monday for yummy muffins and then come in on a Friday and they're like, oh my gosh, this is a gummy muffin, I just had it on Monday, what's going on with that? And that's because either your recipe flops somehow, like if you don't have the weights, it's so easy to be off a couple of ounces on an ingredient, and then the next ingredient's going to be off slightly, and then eventually the entire recipe is off. So again, it's going to be important for your consistency for the same product every single time that you are using an accurate measurement like weight for your precision baking. The last reason that it's really important for precision baking is for bookkeeping in your bakery business. When you are pricing out your recipes, you should be pricing them out based on an accurate measurement of weight, because the ingredients that you're receiving are broken down by weight. And we have a great blog post on how to create your own recipe calculator that begins by taking the amount that you have. So you have a bag of, say, flour, and it weighs, say, 16 ounces. You need to know the cost per an ounce. And once you know the cost per an ounce, then you can go over to your recipe and say, okay, it takes me 8 ounces of flour to make this recipe, and it cost me 50 cents an ounce, and now I can take 50 cents times the 8 ounces in my recipe for my flour, and I know that the flour in this is going to cost me X amount of dollars. And then you can add that up for every ingredient in your recipe to get a total cost of your recipe. It is so important to know exactly how much your ingredients are costing, how much that recipe costs, because when you price it, you want to ensure that you're not only making a profit, but you're also recouping those costs. If you're paying for it and you are doing the work, you should be recouping for that, okay? So it's really important. Like I said, we have a whole blog post to help you manage your pricing, but it starts with a standardized recipe. It starts with consistently baking things and using the precision baking when it comes to your bookkeeping. And so now I'm going to show you an experiment on how cups can be affected and can actually change the weight. Sorry. So you can take 3 separate measuring cups. So I have a glass cup and then I have 2 different plastic cups, okay? And I'm going to scoop flour out and we're gonna weigh them and see the difference. Now, sometimes the difference is just like a 1 or 2 ounces. And though that seems minor, when you're looking at an entire recipe, that 0.2, 0.3, that adds up, and eventually your recipe is now a whole ounce short of what you needed. So instead of being able to make 12 muffins of 3-ounce scoops, now you're only able to make 11, and now you have this extra batter. So again, for consistency, you really, really, really need to have it down into precision baking. And the reason measuring cups don't work is humidity can affect that. I live in Florida. It's so humid, and then some days it's not as humid. 99% of the time it's super humid. So it's either humid or like super duper humid. And so it really does affect the way that we bake here in Florida. But air, the way you're scooping it, the amount of air that's going in between the flour particles, that actually can affect how much space is being taken up in that cup. And then when you go to weigh it, it is actually off. So without further ado, we will go ahead and do that experiment so that you can see what I'm talking about precision baking. Okay, so as you can see, we have 3 different measuring cups and they all have 1 cup of flour in them, okay? So we are going to pour the first cup down here and see what the weight is. So this is a red plastic measuring cup, and I'm gonna pour it in. And so this says that there are 4.6 ounces in here, okay? All right. So let's get it on here. I had trouble with it before zeroing out. Okay, so now it's at 0 out. Here's my next measuring cup, okay? 1 cup of flour. I put it in. And this says 5.9 ounces, okay? Now, for my last one. 1 cup. Did it at eye level, shook it out, the whole works, just like they taught me in home ec. And this one's only 3.7. So if I'm requiring 8 ounces, I don't have that for my recipe. And depending on if I use this one this time, and this one the next time, and this one the time after that, I could end up with 3 different types of products because my weights were not consistent. So again, precision baking is very important. So you're probably asking, like, how do you convert your recipe? So converting a recipe can seem a little tedious at first, but if you put that effort up front, then it's not so bad to do it later on when you're using the recipe. So the way that we work it is, if we don't have the weights, then we are going to do just this, okay? So we take our measuring cup and we say, all right, it says 1 cup. So we're gonna measure 1 cup, and we're gonna say, you know, okay, let's do 8 ounces. So we're gonna completely fill it up with 8 ounces. So that one's a little bit different because that one kind of converts really nicely, but sometimes like your salt, you know, I might call for like half a teaspoon. So you're gonna scoop out your teaspoon and you're gonna put it into your bowl, and then you're gonna measure it to see what it's at. Now, as you get used to it, you're gonna realize that like you're gonna want 0.10 of salt, or you're gonna want 0.30 of baking powder. Like those are kind of standard on your recipe. So as you get going, you're gonna start realizing, okay, this is what I'm looking for with my measurement. And if you already have some recipes that are in weight, you can kind of use that as your benchmark, for lack of better words. Like you're gonna know that you want 8 ounces for your flour. Okay, good. You know, these recipes typically have this much baking soda, it's 0.30, let's start there. Or it's 0.20, let's start there. Vanilla extract, you know, things like that, because you're gonna literally pour it into your tablespoon, and then you're gonna pour it onto the scale, and you're gonna note that. And then when you make your recipe, you're gonna say, okay, that's great, or maybe I need to tweak it, and you're gonna mess with those measurements. You might take it up a little bit, you might take it down, but you're no longer gonna use your spoons, you're no longer going to use your cups typically when you're measuring for your recipes from now on. So just convert your recipes now to weight, and then if you need to, you can always adjust them, but then every time you bake, you're going to weigh it out, and it's not going to be like you just saw. So it's really important that you convert them all so you're not having issues with consistency. All right, thanks everybody. Make sure to check out the notes below. It'll have information about how we do our pricing. It's gonna have the entire blog post where we talk about precision baking, but I just wanted to hop on here, show you guys the experiment, show you that it's really true, how it really does make a difference. Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much. If you're interested about hopping on our newsletter, it is in the description. We go out every month and we give you guys recipes. We talk about baking tips. We talk about what's going on with Perfectly Pastry. So if you'd like to hop onto that information is in the description. Other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you.